Welcome to this episode of the Awakening Women of the End the Cycle podcast. I'm recording this one from my car because I have all of my teenagers home and this is just where I know I'm not going to get interrupted. So the sound might be a little less quality because I'm doing it from my car with my headphones. So in this episode, I want to talk to you about I want to talk to you about 9 shifts or new ways of seeing your relationship when you feel trapped or unable to leave a toxic bond. You know that you're experiencing narcissistic abuse. You've been here for a while. If you're new here and you're not sure, then binge the podcast by all means, because you will get clarity whether or not you're experiencing it. And what I've noticed with women is that it is not a lack of knowledge, not a lack of awareness, not a lack of knowing narcissistic traits, narcissistic behaviors, being able to label them, name them, understand them to the nth degree because they've done so much research and reading and, learning and all of that stuff. No, that is not what is keeping them from leaving. It is inner programming. It is what is going on internally that is being manifest externally, because what's going on internally drives our actions or lack of action. And this is not about love, it's not about dedication, it's not about commitment and your tenacity and your refusal to give up, because us high achieving women, success driven women, we don't give up easily. In fact, if you give us a challenge, we're going to keep fucking going. We're going to keep going. We're going to find a way out of no way. If one thing doesn't work, we're going to try another and another and another. And that is within our makeup. And so it is not a lack of trying. It's not a lack of therapy. It's not a lack of talking about it or thinking about it or researching about it. It's none of that. It is your internal programming somewhere along the line, things that you learned, messages you received, either unconsciously or consciously. You heard them from your parents, you learned them in other formative relationships, you learned them in other love relationships from your past. And it's really important to have these shifts internally if you want to experience something different. So if you're feeling frustrated with yourself, where you are like, I don't know why I can't just get out of this situation. I know it's bad. And then you have a good day and you're like, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe this is going to change. Maybe this isn't as bad as I think. Maybe this isn't abuse because he's being nice right now. Or look at all these positive qualities he has. And you're focusing on the gratitude because focus on what's good, focus on the gratitude. And so you're making lists of things you appreciate about him, which doesn't help. These things are important. And I know if you're a conscious woman doing the work, you're committed to your evolution, you do the gratitude lists. You try to think of the positive. You try to see the good in him. You try to appreciate the good. And when you're doing that, though, and while it's good, we do need to focus on what's going well in our life and our appreciations and gratitudes for what we have. That is important, and it is part of getting through difficult times, 100%. But we don't want to ignore the realities as well in favor of, I'm just going to focus on what's good about this right now. And so this is where the personal growth stuff can become a hindrance for women who are really in the growth. And believe me, I was there. I'm speaking from experience. And it's not that you're not willing to do the hard work. It's just that you shouldn't have to be working so hard to tolerate the bullshit that you're going through. This should not feel so hard like it's a full-time job, that it is taking over everything. It's taking over your energy. It's taking over your emotional energy because you're trying to figure it out, but you're figuring it out on your own. Meanwhile, you're still living in the cyclone of the chaos and the cycle. Okay, so we're going to talk about 9 shifts that I want you can write them down, you can stick them on a sticky note, it doesn't matter what you do, but this is about shifting your mindset, shifting your wiring around what you believe about love. And this is not about love, it's about an emotional addiction. Maybe you've heard that before, or you've heard it said it's a trauma bond. Well, a trauma bond is not a clinical term or anything like that. It is more about being in a relationship, a love relationship with someone. This can also happen with parent-child. Children can have a traumatic bond with the parent that is abusive, but I get my comfort and soothing from the person who continues to hurt me. They're the one that is causing this pain and this emotional upheaval in my heart, in my body, in my home, with my children. And then they are swooping in to come and make me feel better, to fix it, and to all of a sudden flip a switch and be someone new. And that is what forms that quote unquote traumatic bond. I don't really love that term though. I prefer to see this as an emotional addiction. And when we treat it like that, then we can really get to the root of what's going on, why it's happening, and what we need to do to heal it and shift out of it. All right, so the first is you can live without him. Women get stuck in this because they think, how am I going to live without him? What would I do without him? How would I be alone? How would I do it all? The truth is that you're already doing it all, and they're just there to make everything much more stressful and much more fucking difficult. So you will be able to do it without him. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be met with adversity and challenges and things going wrong. No. But at least then you have an end point to where healing can actually happen. Whereas when you're in it, that is not going to happen. You can do the work, you can do your inner work, but true healing and success and body wellness and having peace in your home is never going to happen when you stay in it. Whereas if you leave, whether even though maybe you have some things that are not going well in your life, you can still create a peaceful home environment for yourself and for your children. And that doesn't mean that there isn't healing involved in that, because there is. There is nervous system healing work that needs to be done in that. Number 2, love isn't enough to make it work. So many women will list all of the crazy making things that their partner is doing, and it's like, but I love him. I love him. Love is not enough to make a relationship work. It's not enough. And then I'd question, maybe you don't know what healthy love is, if you've never witnessed it, you've never experienced it, and you may not even know that this is actually not love. It's just an addiction. Number 3 is that guilt isn't reason enough to stay. Many women stay because they feel guilty leaving, guilty breaking up the family, guilty leaving them, guilty for leaving them when they're being nice, or they're in a phase of where they're being good, they're being Mr. Wonderful, and then you feel guilty planning to leave them and you feel bad for them. So realize that guilt is not a reason to continue to tolerate abuse. And then you have to look at what the deeper reasoning and underneath all this guilt, like where does it actually come from? Number 4 is that you don't have to love someone to be addicted to them. So this goes back to what I was saying, is that it may not be love, it may be addiction. And likely it is, if you can't seem to leave, no matter how bad it's getting, no matter how awful it's getting, no matter how bad your health is, no matter the signs you're seeing in your children and their decline, their anxiety, their health issues, their refusal to go to school, their social anxiety, their clinginess, their separation anxiety. You are seeing it all, but you're like, I can't leave. I love him. And so you have to realize that you don't have to love someone to be addicted to them. And you might even be in a place where you're like, I can't stand them. You get to a place where you can't stand them, but you still can't leave. Okay, so that's really important to understand. The next is that what you see is what you get. You have to stop trying to change him. You know, if there's some things in a relationship that are not what you want them to be, and they're deal breakers, it's like abuse, and you say something one time like, hey, I don't like that. That's disrespectful. That doesn't feel good to me. I don't like that. And they keep doing it over and over and over again. That is blatant. It's disrespect. And so we really have to understand that and embody that. And no matter how many positive things someone has, if they continue to do the things that you have tried your hardest to articulate that you like or that you need, and they keep doing it or they keep refusing to do it, you have to see it for what it is. Does that mean that you don't set boundaries and teach a man how to treat you? No, you definitely do. But if something keeps happening over and over and over again, you have to believe that what you see is what you get. You have to stop trying to change them. If they're not into growth, they don't give a shit about looking at themselves. They're not showing up. They're not making effort. They're not at least attempting to make changes and be better and show up differently. Then you have to accept that what you see is what you get, because part of the addiction is am I going to finally get that version of them that I so want? The version of them that they show me they can be at times. And so you think, well, if I could just get to that place where they're giving me that version of themselves most of the time, then I can be happy. But stop trying to change them. The next is that some women lose their lives from bad relationships. Now, this could be a life-altering diagnosis like a cancer. It could be a serious health issue. It also could just be loss of quality of life. Okay, it does happen and it is happening. It's happening to you. You can feel it in your body that it is taking life from you. It's taking life force from you. You don't have the vitality. You feel more malaise and kind of apathy to your life, where you just get up, you do the grind, you do the work, you do the business, you do the kids, you do the house, but you are kind of robotic and acting just from the neck up. And so you are already feeling that death, that slow death in disguise. It happens at a soul level, it happens at an emotional level, and then it starts to show up in your body. So remember that you can lose your life from a bad relationship. And number 8 is the pain of leaving lasts shorter than the pain of not ending it and dragging it on. And there are so many costs to dragging this on, as I've just listed: health, money, success, career, your mental health, your immune system, your body, your children, and the trauma they're going to have to work out in therapy, the things that you are demonstrating to them that are then going to be where they are stuck in life. And so it is about taking that ownership and realizing that the longer I drag this out, the worse it's going to get, the worse I'm going to feel, and the worse impact it's going to have on my children. And number 9 is that you are a whole, valuable person apart from this relationship. But when you feel otherwise, childhood wounds are likely at the root. If you don't feel valuable as a person without this relationship, or you think that your value is in this relationship or getting them to be something different, then there are childhood wounds at the root. And the question I want you to ask yourself is, if this stays exactly the same as it is right now in 5 years, do I want it? So say you're in this exact place. And what I always say is that it doesn't stay in the exact place when you're in something like this. It continues to spiral downward, because that's how energy works, is when things are going bad and they're going bad and they keep spiraling downward, they're going to keep getting worse. On the flip side, when you start switching that and moving upward, spiraling, to taking positive change, to taking care of yourself, to doing the soul work, to doing the soul connection work, living in alignment with your soul truth, taking action from passion, taking action from inspiration, your body starts to heal. And then you start to go in the upward motion. When you can shift out of, I never feel good enough for them, to realizing I'm too fucking good for them. And I don't mean that in a narcissistic, selfish way. I mean it as self-ownership of, I have a lot to offer. I will work so hard for other people. I will work so hard on myself. I would be a really damn good partner to someone who's willing to show up equally as I am, and we work together to co-create something. I'm too good for this shit. I have too much to offer. When you make that shift from, I'm not good enough, nothing I do is good enough, I'm not good enough for him, I'm failing, he makes me feel like shit, and blah, 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 and you have this shift to, what the hell am I doing? And you start to look at, what is it that I actually have to offer someone? Like, imagine if you were with someone that could bring you equal levels of effort, equal levels of showing up, equal levels of caring about the relationship and caring about you as you care about them. Imagine what would be possible. And that's what I want for every woman. And that doesn't mean that you do this work so that you one day will have that love. If that's something that you want, then great. But this work you do for you. You learn these lessons through hardship. We have to learn through being a lot of times in these relationships, because you can have people outside of you. You could get on a call with me right now and I could tell you, yes, this is exactly what you're experiencing. It's not going to change. He sounds like a narcissist. He sounds like he's got some psychopathic traits. Like, I could do a diagnostic within 30 minutes and confirm with you that, yes, this is for sure, I would stake my life on it, what you're experiencing. And if that's something that you need, then go ahead and DM me on Instagram coaching, and I can walk you through what the next steps would be. Now, I don't work with women who are still in the place of being indecisive. I don't work with you one-on-one. You can take my End the Cycle program that walks you through all of that. But if you're in a place where you just want that confirmation that, yeah, that's definitely what this is, and then you want to plan your next steps out, your exit, and then healing on the other side, that's where I work one-on-one with women. So you can just DM me coaching on Instagram for where to go from here. So it is important to have that shift. It's important to have these mindset shifts. And this is the work where women, when they get into End the Cycle and they're doing the paradigm shifting exercises and processes that I put them through in there to shift these mindsets, it's all in the program. This is just a taste of it, but there's a whole bunch more around how to shift your mindset into a place that actually serves your healing, that doesn't keep you stuck in this paradigm, this level of awareness and consciousness. And it's important to be able to see where your thinking loops keep you in the same patterns. And this is why I wanted to share these shifts, because it is important to have that shift in perception and see things differently. When you start to see things differently, then you do things differently, and you become someone different in that process. When you have those shifts out of those same loops that keep you stuck, then you start moving in a new direction, and then that momentum creates more momentum. And I want that shift for every woman. I want you to have that shift. So where I was going actually, where I could confirm for you within probably, really 10 minutes. Would that help? Because I've worked with women that still cannot leave even when they have that certainty that this is what they're experiencing. And so you have to be able to see this as an addiction. It's just like an alcoholic. Their whole life could be burning up. They could have lost all their relationships, their job, their money, but their alcohol is their priority. And you could tell them the alcohol is the reason why you are staying. You're an alcoholic. You have an alcohol addiction. And they could still keep doing the addiction, even when their whole life is burning up around them. So tell me, how does that not relate to the relationship you're in? It's very similar. And what I learned in my therapy work is that with addiction, it is always masking something that we are avoiding, some kind of pain we don't want to feel, something we're not wanting to face. And an addiction is defined by a process, emotional or otherwise, that we engage in that is impacting one or more areas of our lives in a significant way. So it is an addiction, and it is breaking that addiction that you will find the freedom. But if you continue to make excuses and do the work for everyone and keep going to them for the hit of affirmation, the hit of validation, it's like the alcoholic going for a shot of alcohol. And you have to look at what's beneath all of this that you have not been willing to work on or willing to see or feel. The first step in any transformation is being able to tell yourself the truth. Now, when you tell yourself the truth, you don't need to necessarily know exactly what to do about it in that moment. But the first step is telling yourself the truth and being really honest. This has become unmanageable. This is not working. I don't know what to do about it. You see, we refuse to tell ourselves the truth because then we think we need to know all the answers. And once I tell myself and face the truth, that means this, it means that, it means this, the other thing. I won't be able to handle it. And so you avoid. You avoid and you go, no, I'm just going to keep plugging away at this, plugging away at work, over-functioning, putting out all the fires in the home, living in this chaos, because facing the truth feels scarier and unfamiliar and more dangerous. But instead, if you can tell yourself the truth, and then from there, seek solution. Okay, I'm seeing this is not working. This is not working. Something needs to change. And then things start to reveal themselves, new ways of acting, new ways of finding the solution. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this episode. I hope this has been helpful. These were very helpful mindset shifts that I had to make in my healing journey. Very helpful, very pivotal. And I share more of them inside the paradigm shifting, deprogramming phase of the End the Cycle method that I have created. And so if you want to go deeper into this and learn more about how do you shift out of these cycles, these toxic relationship cycles, through looking at your emotionally addictive patterns, that is one part of the work that you will do inside. And you can get the information by heading to leanneoten.com/ETC enrollment. And I will chat with you in the next edition. Bye for now.